everyone, I'm Hayley. I'm always in the craft room, and today I'm here with another episode of Friday Sews. This week I have one completed item to show you, one in the works, a crochet project to catch you up on, and also a question for the end about a mystery fabric I've received that I need some help with. So the Vera top by Forget Me Not Patterns is a free download from their website, and I would really recommend it. I love this top. I made it from a viscose jersey from Rainbow Fabrics, and I think I've mentioned before, I'm staying away from the viscose jersey because I just find it a little bit clingy. Actually, this top is viscose jersey, and in this kind of drapier style. I love wearing it because it's so soft, but yeah, it's not my favourite for a fitted t-shirt. However, with this one, I wanted the really dramatic bishop sleeve cuffs. And there are a couple of cuff options on this pattern, but I wanted the really deep cuff and the big poof. And so I thought viscose jersey would be a great match for this project because obviously there's quite a lot of gathering into that puffy sleeve. Can't get my hand out now. I did change the neckline. So the pattern comes with a V-neck, and it's a really beautiful V-neck. I've made this before, and there is just a delicate curve in the V-neck. Rather than it being a kind of straight line, there's just ever so slightly curved. And oh, I really like it. It makes for a really, really pretty neckline. With this though, I just fancied a scoop neck. And to do that, I laid out my pattern pieces as normal and drew with a chalk marker the shoulders in, and then I took the pattern piece off and laid on top the pattern piece of the Itch to Stitch Idlewild, I think it's called, which has a scoop neck, and then I just chalked the scoop in, removed that and cut, so it was very easy to do. You might have seen a short I did asking what colour overlocker thread to use, because as you can see, this is really, really pale. This is really dark. And I was just like, oh, black, white, grey, what do I do? Anyway, as usual, my overthinking did not pay off. I made things much more complicated than they have to be. And I should have just gone black top, black thread. Let me show you what I mean. So the first seam I sewed was this shoulder seam, and I set off doing grey thread in the loopers and black in the needles. And my thought process was that the seams would therefore blend in more on the inside. Spoiler alert, I switched to black thread, which they do stand out, don't they? So I do basically prefer the look of the grey on that shoulder seam. However, I soon realised my error when I put the neckband on, because the neckband is black and my loopers were grey, and that just looks a bit of a mess. And I didn't catch all of the neckband on the first try, so I had to go back and do some extra, and now it's just a bit of a mess. And if I'd just done black thread, that would look so much better. So then I did switch to black thread for the rest of the insides, which, why did I bother? Because the bit where it mattered was already done. And anyway, it's the inside. No one will ever see it. I also had some issues with the hem. So as I say, I've made this before and I was really happy with the fit. But last time it did kind of ride up a bit at the front, as if I needed a full bust adjustment. I'm going to put in some footage of me explaining what I mean, because I think the fit on the bust is good, but even in this one, it is rising at the front. So here is past me explaining the issues with the hem. I'm ready to hem this top now, but I've got a slight issue with the centre front. If I turn to the side, can you see that it's higher at centre front than it is at the side seam? I don't think I need a full bust adjustment because looking at the bust, I think the fit's pretty good. There's no straining in the middle, there's no folds under the arms. I think the fit at the bust is as intended, but it is just coming up higher in the middle. And bear in mind, I have shortened this by 4 centimetres because I have a short torso. So I think what I'm going to do is fold up the hem and just make it even as I pin. So if you lay it out flat, it probably won't be even, but all that really matters is that it looks even on the body, really, isn't it? So I think I'm just going to spend some time with some pins and make it straight across, and that is about where I wanted it to hit. That's my hip bone, so kind of high hip. So what I actually did with the hem was I just put the top on, pinned so it looked straight around the front and straight around the back, hemmed it, cut that off, and I'm going to show you the piece I removed. So you can see at the back, that's probably 5 or 6 centimetres. There's the side seam. Then coming around to the front, this just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And at the front, it's a wisp. So at the front, I literally just turned it up the minimum I could to get a decent hem. But then, yeah, when I levelled it all off, quite a lot off at the back. So I don't know what that is about. Let me know if you've got any ideas. Do I need a full bust adjustment? I don't know. Anyway, that's my Vera top and I'm really happy with it. What am I making next? Well, I am well on with an Imby flowy top from Crochet Apparel in this polyester chiffon. Just take a minute to let that sink in. Yes, it is as awful to cut and sew as you would imagine. Like, it's horrible. And it frays and it's slinky and it just won't behave itself. And of course, see-through. This is just a test version of the top because it's actually another free pattern. It is one size. You know, with that, I did want to test it and make sure that the sizing was okay before I cut into any good fabric. So I chose a cheap fabric, but therefore inadvertently chose a very difficult fabric. And also the instructions with it being a free pattern are, shall we say, quite basic and don't include anything about lining it because why would you? It's just, you know, a standard blouse, but obviously I needed to line it. So I had a look in the stash and I came up with one white fabric, which was this. But I don't know if you'll be able to see it as well on camera as I can in real life. But this is kind of an ivory colour and this is a stark white. And when you put one behind the other, it's just like, whoa, so much contrast. So I had another route and I came up with an old silk dressing gown. This is a bit of the sleeve that I've cut off and the colour match was really good. And when I pop that behind, that's just a much more pleasing colour to me. So I decided to go with the dressing gown and it is 100% silk. Oh. So yeah, I'm very excited to be wearing a top lined in pure silk. However, could I make my life any more difficult? So now I've got a polyester chiffon and a silk charmeuse, like the two shiftiest fabrics in the world. And me being me, I don't have enough of this. So the main front panel and the back panel actually are gathered across here, loads of gathering. And I thought 2 layers gathered would probably be quite bulky anyway. So I've gathered the layer of chiffon and then cut this to the finished size I need. So the silk will be flat, the chiffon will be gathered, and yeah, I'm really pleased with how it's coming on. I've done some little try-ons, you know, when you just slip it over your head and it's not got any sleeves or anything, but so far I'm really loving it. And actually, I joke about how I'm making my life hard. I've really enjoyed trying to figure out how to line it and finish it and what order I need to do it all in. It's just been very satisfying. So I'm actually really enjoying it, and it's not been impossible to sew. It's taken a lot of pins, but it's been a lot of pins and not much frustration, which could you wish for anything better? Now for something a bit different, not sewing and not a garment, I have a bag to show you. It's a crochet pattern called the Barknet bag. And isn't that just such a beautiful pattern? As soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted to make it. If you're not interested in crochet, I have worked out how to put timestamps in the description box below to break the video into chapters so you can skip ahead to the next thing. If you can't find the description box, which I couldn't when I first started watching YouTube, you might need to click on more or ... after the initial description of the video. Anyway, this is the Barknet bag, and it was such a fun project. The maths as this pattern emerges is so satisfying. I just can't even tell you how you start off just all the same and then slowly it separates and then it comes back together and then it separates. And what's so lovely is once you understand what's happening, the maths just makes perfect logical sense, and I didn't even need to follow the pattern. I just knew how to make it happen. It was, honestly, I can't tell you, it was just so much fun, and I absolutely loved doing it. And it was one of those projects I could sit and do in front of the telly, and I didn't even have to keep marking off a row or finding my pencil or referring to the pattern at all. I could just literally just loved it. The yarn I used was a King Cole 100% cotton, and I gotta say, I don't love it. It is starting to bobble a little bit already. And yeah, I've used nicer cottons. Also, it was a DK weight, but I think it was on the thick side. And that brings me on to the issue with this pattern. So I love doing it. I love looking at it. As shopping bags go, it is not the most practical. And, you know, that's on me. Crochet shopping bags, hadn't really thought it through, but you can easily lose a carrot through one of these holes. Stuff just pokes through. And also, we live in the countryside, so I always drive to do a big shop, and it's hard to like shove stuff in this, whereas when I have those big traditional supermarket shopping bags, they stand up in the trolley and they stand open, so they're easier to pack. This is all floppy and it's hard to get stuff in the hole. So it's not a food shopping bag for me. It would be if I shopped on foot because it goes over my shoulder, but I don't really. What I have used it for is fabric shopping because it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. This thing can hold so much. But that brings me on to the other problem, which is this took 6 balls of yarn, which each weighed 100 grams. Ergo, this now weighs 600 grams. And there are 2.2 pounds in a kilogram. So that's over a pound. It's heavy. When it's stuffed with fabric, it's unbelievably heavy. And these, they do start to cut into your shoulders a bit. It did say on the pattern you can keep going around to make the straps thicker. And yeah, I wish I had. So it's had fun doing it. Not the most practical kind of make. I intended to keep it in my handbag and, you know, get it out when you just stop for a few bits, but it's not only too heavy, it's too bulky. It's massive. My handbag isn't that big, I can't even get it in. So yeah, what I do use it for is when I'm out with the kids for the day and I need to take, you know, a picnic lunch, a few bits. So I do use it and I do love it. It wasn't what I thought, but that is entirely on me because all of that was perfectly predictable. My mind just didn't make it that far down the road before I'd made it. So the last thing I wanted to show you was a fabric that I was given. My mum and dad have been on holiday recently to Malaysia and they brought back this cotton silk for me. It's a border print and I just love that colour. I love hot pink, as you've probably noticed. But I don't know what to do with it. And my main question is, should I pre-wash it? I just don't know. It's got such a lovely sheen, but I don't want to ruin that. But then I don't live the kind of life that can cope with dry clean only clothing. What would you do? Should I wash it? Should I save it for something special? And what should I make it into? There's about 2 meters. Maybe a nice like caftan cover up for holiday. That could be quite nice, or just a really dramatic skirt. Oh, I don't know. If you have any ideas, please let me know below. And so that brings me to some thank yous. Thank you to Mum and Dad for bringing that back for me. Thank you to Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room for starting the wonderful hashtag Friday Sews. Thank you to all of you who've made it to the end. And thank you especially to anybody who has subscribed or liked or commented, because I do feel a little bit like I'm talking to myself here. I literally am talking to myself. So, you know, makes sense. But if you did want to say hello in the comments, hi, but no pressure. I hope to see you soon for another Friday Sews. Bye. Vera top.